And hello again, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of the Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network. Kevin Williams along with Bob Batters and Ed Sarluca, as I always say, the usual suspects. And we are live tonight at the Office Lounge in Toms River, which will be one of our sites. We've been here for several years, actually. I think this is like year 5 for us, but we're going to alternate between here, and we're going to tell you about our new location a little bit later on. But we talk Shore Conference football after the second week of full action. And tonight we feature the Hawks of Manchester. We'll be talking with them in a little bit. And they have brought some people here. It's nice to see at the Office Lounge. Of course, as we know, the Farrell family alone would have taken up half the place. So it wouldn't have mattered, but we're delighted to be here, and we're going to talk about the 2-0 Manchester Hawks in just a little while. But as we always open up, is we take a scan around the Shore Conference from the previous week. Last week, as we said, was the second full week of action. And Bob, I ask you for your observations. You and I were both at Point Borough Manasquan on Friday night. We had Matt Manley at Middletown South Manalapan, which was a tremendous game. But what are your thoughts from last weekend?
Certainly you start with the ranked teams and the matchups that stand out. You mentioned the Point Borough Manasquan game. It was number 4, Point Borough versus Manasquan, ranked number 7, coming in, making their season debut. And that one was all Point Borough, 39-13. And the Panthers, a team that was a point away from winning Group 2 regional championship game last season, and brought back almost their entire team, really has hit the ground running through 2 weeks, averaging about 40 points a game and running the ball extremely well in that flexbone triple option and their quarterback, Matt Oliphant. Again, they were pretty much unstoppable, averaged about 10 yards a carry on the ground. He ran for 228 and 4 touchdowns, and away they went. So a very impressive start for the Panthers. And the other game that we covered, which was a thriller, was Middletown South 17-14 over Manalapan. And the Braves scored all their points in the fourth quarter to come from behind for the second straight week. So a dramatic ending between 2 top 10 teams, 2 teams that have become rivals over the last several years, as their head coach, Dom Lepore, Manalapan's head coach, said to us last week. So 2 big ones right there. Those ones stood out right off the top.
I just want to ask you this, because we were both at the Point Borough Manasquan game. Do you think that was a case of a team playing its second game against a team a little bit playing its first game? We were talking, that was a beautiful night. It was not warm at all. Manasquan had so many players cramping up, and they really looked like a team that was playing its first game.
I think that's certainly a factor. It has to be. You get a game under your belt, you're going to be a little bit more broken in, I guess you could say, than a team making their season debut. And on top of that, Point Borough proved they're the better team.
Yeah. Came
in ranked higher, which, again, I like to think it means something. Yeah. It really doesn't until you get on the field. But Point Borough looked really good, and Manasquan's going to have to turn around and win a tough game this Saturday at home against Raritan to get on the board. But, Point Borough is what we figured they would be through 2 games. I mean, they're running the ball with great efficiency, putting up big points, and they're also playing really good defense too, which is an overlooked part of that team. But they were great defensively last year, and through 2 games they've been excellent as well.
Of course, the coach is Ed Sarluca, who never misses a football weekend. What about you?
Yeah, just a quick word on Point Borough. They're just so well-rounded. I mean, they've got everything. Mm-hmm. They've got the skill kids. They've got speed. And, of course, they've had have a huge offensive and defensive line. So they have everything to make a legit run this year going all the way. And they thoroughly deserve a number 4 ranking, as you've got them there, Bob. A couple of surprise teams in the top 10 for me. Jackson off to a 2-0 start. And, of course, Marlboro, who everybody trying to remember when was the last time they were in the top 10. I guess it was when they won a state championship, right?
Yeah, in 1994.
Yeah,
I assumed they were in the top 10 at that point.
Right.
But for us, for our top 10, they've never been in the ranking. So a debut for the Mustangs, and well-deserved. They come away with a 35-7 win over Freel Township. 2 weeks, 2 convincing wins. Again, you speak of well-rounded with Point Borough. Marlboro the same way. Mm-hmm. They have an experienced quarterback in A.J. Schwartz, who's a senior. They have a very good running back in Matt Cassidy, who's a junior. Played wide receiver last season and put up big numbers. Put up good numbers, I should say. Put up big numbers defensively, where he was an all-shore safety. They have Ryan Mendez at wide receiver. And they've been making plays on both sides of the ball. So Marlboro in that Constitution division with Jackson Memorial right now, those two teams are the front runners, and Marlboro a chance, to compete legitimately to win a division title, something they haven't done since 1994.
Top two teams, Toms River North 2 and RBC number 1, just keep rolling along. Unfortunately, play in different divisions this year. They will not meet in the regular season or obviously in the playoffs, parochial and non-public. So they will never, if they keep going all the way, as a lot of people anticipate, make your choice.
We won't see that matchup, but in terms of Red Bank Catholic, they have plenty of tough matchups. North,
right.
their most difficult games, at least right now on paper, were the first two, beating Washington Township and then Rumson. And then they beat Southern 42-0, where really balanced showing offensively and defensively. They gave the Rams nothing. I mean, that flexbone triple option that had a really good showing against West Windsor United in the season opener was completely shut down. Under 100 yards of offense, I believe. Big game by Ty Kazanowski, over 15 tackles. So, North, again, some things to clean up going back to that Rumson game where they had an Oakland Raider 19 penalties for over 200 yards. Dave Oswald certainly doesn't want that. But, again, this is a very skilled team that is, again, really big up front. A veteran team that was in a state sectional final last year, and they are as advertised. And same thing at Red Bank Catholic. Coming off a state championship, we knew they were going to be good. We knew they had to replace some key players. They've done that. Frankie Williams, their sophomore quarterback, has come in and hit the ground running and throwing, and he's been great through 3 weeks. And they beat Wall 25-3. Season opener for Wall. Don't really know much about Wall yet. Hard to gauge anything from that game. But, again, in that American division, there's no shortage of opportunities to prove yourself, and also no shortage of big games. Every week, really, we were joking before, we can cover a game in the American division every Friday night. It's that good.
And, of course, Rumson off to an 0-2 start, which is unheard of in Shore Conference lore. Beaten by Donovan Catholic, who's off to the 2-0 start. What do you think about Rumson?
It's not surprising
competition
in the sense of Rumson graduated a lot last year, and typically it doesn't matter. They roll into the next season, and it's fine. They replace the guys, and they're on their way doing what we're used to them doing. They graduated their entire offensive line, most of their defensive line. Marshall Halfacre, who was injured later in last season, really the only defensive lineman back. So experience in the secondary, but it's high school football. Is the front seven is where everything is kind of made. So they're working some new players in there who I believe will be fine, especially on the offensive line. I think Joe Murphy, their offensive line coach, if not the best in the Shore, clearly one of the best. He'll have them ready. But you start the season with Toms River North. It's a bad matchup considering what North has. And then a very good Donovan team who Rumson beat last year. Donovan young but very talented. I mean, Najee Calhoun, their freshman running back, had 107 yards rushing. They have a lot of really good underclassmen that are now getting their opportunity. I think we've seen that through 2 weeks with Donovan. So gut feeling Rumson will be fine. We had to drop him out of the top 10, which I'll be honest, even at 0-2 felt a little odd. Look, there's teams knocking on the door. I think they'll be fine, but they're clearly working through some things right now with the green roster.
Speaking of odd, it's been more than 20 years since Rumson started the season 0-2, and they also had not been shut out since 2014. So again, but you mentioned they've played two really good teams to start the season, and that schedule determines a lot. So
how many other teams in the Shore, if they played the number 2 and number 5 teams, would have that same record?
Exactly.
Most of them would. So again, to write off Rumson at this point would be incredibly foolish.
Yes,
but
it would.
They got to find a way to get in the win column because it doesn't get any easier. They play a Wall team that's going to be hungry, for its first win under head coach Edgar Airy. So a lot of drama potentially coming up this weekend.
You mentioned a couple of, speaking of the top 10, the Jeep Store top 10, the top 5 from last week, no changes. RBC, Toms River North, Middletown South, Point Borough, and Donovan Catholic. The bottom half, a couple of changes. Manalapan, despite the loss, moves up from 8 to 6. Long Branch goes from 9 to 7. Jackson was number 10. They're number 8 this week. Marlboro breaks into the top 10, we think for the first time in about 500 years. And Manasquan drops from 7 to 10 with the loss to Point Borough. And as you mentioned, Rumson drops out. And, we talk about it a lot. but coaches will tell you the only one that counts is the one at the end of the season. You know, this is for us much more than it is for them. Of course, the top 10 is brought to you by the Jeep Store in Ocean Township. Check out thejeepstore.com. By the way, I saw your new Jeep last week from the Jeep Store.
I'll tell you what, it was a great buying experience. It really was.
Very nice. Very nice. You told me it was one of the –
How about me? I got a new one, too.
Yeah, Bob's the main guy here.
Oh,
yeah.
He said it. I didn't.
I didn't know that, Ed. Did you get it from there?
No.
Oh, well, we're plugging. You're the worst endorser in the history of broadcasting.
That is classic.
I got some connections at Seaview, so what could I say?
You know, we're
time out. Seaview is the Jeep Store, Ed.
Oh, okay. That's where I got it.
There you go. Again,
I know it is Seaview. Sorry.
That's why he's the coach.
I always think of the scene in Major League that's why he's the best.
I didn't want to get derailed too much, but I was like, I could have swore I saw like the license plate frame said Seaview.
So
Jeep,
listen, so both of you have vehicles from the Jeep Store, so
Yes.
that's terrific.
And my son, same thing.
Look, see again.
That's three.
All over the place. Just a quick note, because we talked a little bit about it before we go into our first break, and that is, you know, we thought Central Regional, I thought, got a tough hand with moving up divisions this year, and really a challenging schedule if they had been healthy. But they returned the top running back in the Shore Conference, a guy who led the Shore Conference in rushing last year, Chase Gumbrecht. And you figured, well, you know, get some offensive linemen. They got to replace some offensive linemen, but they'll ride the horse. Well, unfortunately, the horse is in the stall for the rest of the year. I did talk to Central coach Jared Pigeon. He has lost 3 of his key players, are done for the season already. That is a tough blow. Chase Gumbrecht, J.J. Garcia, and Logan Brennan, all 3 guys go both ways, are key players. They're done with various injuries for the season. But I did like Jared's comment to me was, we don't make any excuses. Somebody else has to step up. You know, injuries are a part of football. We know that. But when you lose 3 starters early in the year for the year, that's a challenge.
And what Jared said is the right approach from a coaching standpoint. You have to move forward and move on and try to, you know, get the next guy up, you know, that mentality. But the reality of it is, you lose an 1,800-yard running back who's the focal point of your offense, and that's the way Southern wants to play. They want to be physical. They want to run in the eye and play that style of football. And now you can't do that, at least not to the same level you did it last season. So that's a really tough spot. And more than anything else, you feel terrible for the kids.
Absolutely.
These are seniors. It's their last high school year, and now they have to miss that all. And it's high school football. You only get 4 years. And most of the time you only really get 3 at the varsity level if you're lucky. Even
no red shirts.
No, there isn't. And so I feel really terrible for those guys.
For those kids, yeah.
Not only are they, you know, very good football players, but again, it's a special time to play high school football, and those guys don't have that this year. So really our thoughts go out to them in trying to just recover and get back, and if they're looking to play collegiately, just get ready. You
know, you work so hard in the offseason to get ready, and especially if you're a senior, right? You know, you lift weights in the winter, you do all that stuff. Summer, 7-on-7, you know, in the heat, practicing and all that, and then you get knocked out early in the first game, and like – it's very frustrating, but listen, we just happen to mention them because I know they lost 3 players already, but there are teams around the Shore Conference who have lost players to season-ending injuries, and you feel bad for all those kids. Well, I'll tell you what, we're not feeling bad right now for the Hawks of Manchester because they have won their first 2 games, and for the first time since 2017, and when we come back after this short break, we're going to speak with their first-year head coach, a very young head coach who's already had more success coaching than his father did. We'll do that right after this break. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. We are broadcasting live from the office lounge in Toms River, one of my favorite places, and we'll be here throughout the fall season, alternating weeks. And I should mention, it's a good time to throw it in, that next week and every other week, we're going to take our operation to Monmouth County, and we'll be at MJ's Restaurant, Sports Bar, and Grill in Neptune, right off Route 66. And that's where we'll be next week, and we'll share our schedule for the rest of the Wednesday schedule with the Office Lounge. Also want to mention, of course, the name of the show is the Varsity Link Coaches Corner. We love our guys at Varsity Link, and if you have not heard, if you're an athlete, if you're an athlete of any ilk in the Shore Conference, you should download the Varsity Link app. It's free. It's the traditional, right? Google Store, Apple Store, Google, It's two things. It's number one, where you can put everything about yourself as an athlete to help with recruiting. And I mean everything, your 40-yard dash time, all that. It's also a way to network with other athletes in the Shore Conference. Regardless of sport, we talk football, but it doesn't matter what sport you play. If you're a high school athlete, you should download the Varsity Link app and check them out at varsitylink.com. So during that quick break, we welcomed up to the main table the first-year coach of the Manchester Hawks, Tommy Farrell, who so far has not learned what it's like to lose a game. I know that's coming, and he knows it's coming. But the good news is, when you take over a new program, is when you get off to a nice start, you get the kids to really believe, who you tried to get to buy in all during the summer. And Tommy is, like I said, he's a first-year head coach, 27 years old, among the youngest coaches in New Jersey. I remember, Tom, when I interviewed you back on the website, I don't know, 4 weeks ago or so, you sounded not like a first-year head coach. You've already learned coach speak, very good at it. Yeah, but I remember asking you the question, what would it be like to run out onto the field for your first game? And I thought one of the nice things was, after your first game, which was a win over Lakewood, the picture of you and your dad hugging on the field. I know that meant a lot to both of you. Your dad, of course, Tom, who I've known longer than he'd like to know, is the superintendent of schools in Brick, but he has a long football background on multiple levels, so I know football's ingrained in the Farrell family. Your brother, who happens to be here tonight, is a freshman at Monmouth University. The Farrell clan was out in grand fashion last week at the Monmouth game. I do the public address announcing, and I look down in the booth, and I just see all these shirts that say Farrell 42 on them. But you come from a football family. There's no question about it. I guess that was my point. So 2-0. How do you feel?
I'm happy for these kids. They deserve it. They put in the work for it. We wouldn't be 2-0 if it wasn't for kids. Like, you're going to talk to Josh and Aiden and Gavin and I mean, everyone's here. They deserve to be 2-0, but we're not satisfied with being 2-0. We're on to Matawan right now. That's our focus. And the assistants that I have. I memean, being a first-year head coach, to have two former assistants like Bob Nasseri and Gerard O'Donnell on my staff, to have guys like Demetrius Smith and Jeff Brown and Coach Lund and Chris Blaine. I mean, I'm going to name all of them because they make my job easier. And when you have the kids like we do at Manchester, that makes my job even easier. So to be 2-0, they deserve it. But we're definitely not satisfied because, we'd rather win later in the season than early in the season if we had to pick. So we're on to Matawan. That's our focus right now. So I appreciate the kind words, but we're definitely not satisfied right now.
So, Tommy, you played your high school football right down the street, Donovan Catholic. For those that don't know, played collegiately at Stonehill. Mm-hmm. Then you were an assistant coach at Parsippany High School, and then you were at Shore Regional for a couple of years, and then here you are as a head coach. So what made you feel like in your mind, like, okay, I'm ready to go through this process and interview and try to be a head coach? Because as Kevin said, you are one of the youngest head coaches in the state.
Yeah, I think I knew when I was playing in college. I hurt my knee my junior year, and I was on the sideline being more of a coach than a player, helping out the younger guys. I think that's when I knew. And then I knew deep down, it's kind of in my lineage. We're a football family. We're education first and sports second. And, learning under guys like Stephen Fentz at New Egypt and Derek Eatman at Parsippany and guys like Kaz, who's going for his 200th win on Saturday. Yeah. I just felt like I have no doubts that I wasn't ready for this job, but it's because of the people who helped me get there along the way. So there was no doubt in my mind. And Again, it helps having the staff that I have behind me as well to help. So,
Tommy, whenever we get a new coach up here, first year, I always like to go back, to when you first started, as far as when were you selected as the head coach? What was it?
It was end of April.
End of April.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the first thing you did? And then how did you put your staff together? What did you tell the kids that first day?
Yeah, so the first night I was board approved, kind of just, went out with my family to celebrate. And then the next day, we didn't skip a beat. I was on the phone with Keith Lister, our athletic director, and that next day in the auditorium, I met with, over the 90 kids that were signed up to play football in the auditorium. And being at a couple Group 1 schools, I was like, ooh, we're going to have a nice scout team when we're running practice. But just shaking their hands and, they were shaking my hand, looking me in the eye, and you can tell they were all bought in before, that introduction was even set. And that's a testament to the men and the families here today. And then after that, it was building the staff. That's the first thing I did. And then we went from there. We talked about schemes. We talked about, and then we got on the huddle and we were watching, how they were last year and what kids will have coming back. And then it kind of, you kind of turn into autopilot a little bit. And then once school's out, it's football season. So it was good. The kids were in the weight room, even though I was still finishing up my year at Shore Regional. The kids were in the weight room. They were messaging me on Twitter. I think Gavin was the first one to message me. He was like deadlifting 400 pounds. And I'm like, I don't know who this kid is, but he's definitely going to be a player for us. And it's like middle of May. But that, again, that's a testament to the kids we have. And it made my job easier as we were getting set up for, throughout the summer.
One of the things I remember asking you about when we talked, and one of the things I've noticed is you use social media a lot. And it's a way, obviously, to communicate with your own kids, but to spread the good message of things that are happening. And you're a big believer in that, in using that. And I also remember asking you about, you're not that much older than certainly your seniors. You're 9 or 10 years older than them. You like the same music as them.
Yeah, we listen to the same music. I think the weight room, that's good. We get after it in the weight room. I'm lifting with them. I'm running with them at the end of practice. We listen to the same music, but going off of social media, it could be a powerful tool and it could be a very hurtful tool. And that's the message we sent to our kids. And I always tell them, let me as the head coach worry about promoting the program and talking with you guys and worry about who's talking about us. You guys worry about what you're going to do in between the lines on Friday night, and the rest will follow. So, and they've been good with that.
The famous quote from Herman Edwards, right? Yeah. Don't hit send. Telling his players. In other words, when you think you're going to write something before, back off a little bit because you can't take it's gone, right? And you got to make sure your players don't engage in trash talk and all that stuff.
Yep, and they'll tell you. We've had multiple conversations about social media because I'm on it. So I know there's coaches in the Shore Conference that aren't even on it and really don't know what's going on with their players. But I can, me and my staff and everyone at Manchester can kind of see what's going on. But these kids are great, and there really haven't been any hiccups with that so far. So.
As you said, and we alluded to, you've been around so many different football programs, even before when you were younger and your father coaching all over the place. And one of the buzzwords in football, or really coaching in general, is culture. We want to instill our culture. We want to change the culture, whatever it is. Certainly when a new coach comes in, they have their idea of how they want the program to run. So it's not a one-word or even two-word answer, but culture. Like, what does that mean to you and how you want your program to, to be?
I think culture is everything. I think, that's the toughest thing as a first-year head coach is what your identity is going to be and what your culture is going to be. And I stole the motto from when I was playing at Stonehill that they still use today, and it's keep digging. And I think that represents the blue-collar community of Manchester, and we have a team shovel. And DIG stands for discipline, intellect, and grit. And every week we give the team shovel out to the most physical player, the hardest player, the guy who just represents our DIG culture. And that's in the fourth quarter when we put our fours up, we all say keep digging. And that's just you don't just say that. There's conviction behind when you're saying that. So I like to shout out Coach Gardner at Stonehill who kind of brought that on me, and it's just been instilled in me even when I was coaching through different programs and being the guy, as the head coach, I just thought it was a perfect motto and a perfect culture word for Manchester. So.
Okay, Tom. When does the tie go on the sidelines?
Well, we're 2-0, so I'm definitely not even changing my underwear at this point.
Come on.
I'm down to the black Nike socks.
Your wife loves that answer.
No, but serious note, the shirt and ties. It's a shout out to my dad. That's just. he wore a shirt and tie when he was coaching at New Egypt. He white shirt, gold tie. So I just switched it up and went golden royal blue. And it's just, and I tell my kids, the kids wear shirt and ties on game day. They don't wear their jerseys. And we got a lot of, the boys clean up nice. They may not after practice, parents, but and then the schools on Fridays, they clean up nice. But it's all about, shout out to them.
I'm sure Gavin loves putting on a tie on Fridays.
But it's all about just playing, treating the game with class.
Yes.
Being a gentleman off the field, but being a violent competitor on the field. And these kids have been learning to flip the switch. So.
I can't wait till the fourth quarter of a tense game when he's ripping the tie. Looks like an NBA head coach just launching it up to the sideline.
Yeah. You opened your season with wins over Lakewood and Toms River East. This week is your home opener. Mm-hmm. You were on the road for both of these games. So this Saturday you host Matawan. This Friday night you host Matawan, a very dangerous team, as I'm sure you know. They're 1-1. They gave Raritan a heck of a game and then beat Jackson Liberty. How do you treat or make sure the players understand it is 1 week at a time and not to think of the prize that may be at the end, but actually what's happening this week?
Yeah. There's a couple examples that I used with the team, right? You see the Rams have their Super Bowl hangover and they get smacked by the Bills at home. So they were focused on, the hype and the Super Bowl championship, and then you go out against a good Bills team and you lose. I gave the example when we were 1-0 against Lakewood. Manchester went 1-0 last year, then lost 7 of their next 8. And then I used the example of, Manchester was also 2-0 and then finished 3-7. So I just used hard, concrete examples and calling a spade that 2-0 doesn't matter. We take it week by week, and Matawan is an absolutely very good, well-coached football team with great skill guys and 2 very good linemen. One of them a Division I commit. And Coach Graber is doing great things at Matawan. And not only is this our home opener and it's an important game, it's a division game. And in week 3, at 2-0, this is a very important game. So that's all we're focused on right now.
Okay, let's talk about some of the players now, okay? Yeah. You come into your program and you decide to go with a sophomore at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's an important decision.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to have to live with growing pains. Tell us a little bit about that. We're going to talk to him a little bit later, Aiden Lunn, but tell us a little bit about him.
Aiden Lunn, a.k.a. Red Rifle. Looks like Andy Dalton, but better. Aiden Lunn.
I love it.
I was going to say Harry from the royal family. That's what I was going to say.
But Aiden is not only a talented football player, he's a better young man, and that's a testament to his family. And he took on that responsibility when we had a 3-way quarterback competition throughout training camp, and Aiden won it. And I took the quarterbacks out for lunch and kind of sat them down, and we named Aiden the starter, and he kind of took that on with pride. And you could tell he's becoming more commanding of the huddle. He's being more verbal. I mean, his first varsity play as a high school quarterback was a 74-yard touchdown pass.
It's pretty good.
So to say that I have confidence in him is an understatement. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. I'm excited to see what he can do at quarterback the next few years. And I know he's a really good basketball player as well. But right now we're focusing on football, Aiden. All right, you got me. But absolute, just a leader. Just a leader on and off the field, and does all the things that you want as a head coach.
Aiden, be prepared, because when you come up here, one of the things you're going to have to do is name all your offensive linemen. All right, you got to give them love, because otherwise you're in big trouble at practice tomorrow. The other young man that you brought up here, I always like to is Josh Love, who's been a 3-year starter for Manchester, running back and safety.
Yep.
He's already got 2 100-yard games to start the season. Tell us a little bit about him that we don't know.
Yeah, Jay Love is a natural-born leader as well. He calls his teammates out when they need to hear it, if they're not necessarily listening to me, or if they're not listening to me or the coaches. But an unbelievable competitor. His vision and his speed and his discipline is unmatched. I would hate to be a middle linebacker going up against Josh Love because you can't see him. I mean, he may be 5'5", 5'6", 150, but he plays like he's Derrick Henry. He's not afraid to lower the shoulder. He's not afraid to make you miss, and he's not afraid to turn on that extra gear of speed when he gets out to the perimeter. So he's a very special player for us. And again, he's one of the kids on the team that make my job easier as a head coach. So you can't ask for a better running back than Jay Love.
And then through the air, you have a great wide receiver in Tyron Benjamin, who's nominated for our Player of the Week award this week, and over 100 yards receiving, long touchdown. So you have that, proverbial three-headed monster there. You have your sophomore quarterback who's played well, but then those two guys, obviously that's a big one. So how about Tyrone? Just that ability, you have that threat downfield when you want to pass.
TZ, again, track runner, not afraid to open it up. But he's also, we like to run the ball. That's our identity on offense. And he's not afraid, he loves stalk blocking. Like, that's a thing that we kind of got with our wide receivers. Like, you want to get paid? You want us to throw you the football? Let's see how you block. And he takes that very seriously. And that's just a kid that, bought into the identity, bought into the culture. And, senior year, his third head coach, he's bought in, and I'm very proud of him.
And that's something with a wide receiver and I know that will pop off the film, his blocking more than whatever route he ran, right? Tell me the truth.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking for, and Coach Lone, our wide receivers coach, we're looking for pancakes on the perimeter just as well, just as much as we're looking for him in the offensive line. So,
Coach, one more for you before we take a break and bring up the players. And let's be perfectly honest with you. Manchester has not had a history of football success. Not too many winning seasons. I think only 2 playoff games in their history. They lost both. How do you, not just this year, but how do you, with your vision, feel like you can turn that around, or this program can turn around this year, next year, down the road?
Yeah, I mean, we have a strong AYF program in Manchester. We have a very strong, close-knit community of Manchester, Lakehurst, and Whiting. There's, the culture in Manchester is a very blue-collar, hard-nosed, working family culture, and that relays to the kids. And that's really never changed. These kids are awesome. These families are even better. I mean, you see the turnout here with Manchester, but the AYF program has been huge for us. And moving forward, I'm not going anywhere. I said if I can be here for 40 years, as long as they'll have me, I'll be here. I have no aspirations to coach in college. I live in Manchester. To serve the community in this way is unbelievable. So we enjoy the ride. We buy in. We got a good sophomore class as well. We'll be on notice. We're just going to take it 1 week at a time.
I got to sneak in one last question.
Go ahead.
So this is topical. Now the highest paid guard in NFL history is Quentin Nelson. Of course, played at Red Bank Catholic.
Yep.
You guys played them in high school, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
You had to block Quentin or attempt to?
I attempted to block Q.
How did that work?
Yeah, well, we lost 56-0. I was the center at 180 pounds, and I had Joe Klecko on my left, and I had Quentin Nelson on my right in double one-techs. And all I hear is my dad saying, "Cut him, just try to cut him." And I said, "You get out here and try to cut him."
He didn't ask to cut him.
And, I'm happy for Q and what he's doing, just representing the short conference in that way. But I definitely got my butt handed to me that day.
Is that a cool moment to look back and be like, see that guy? Like, that's the best guard in the NFL.
The video of him going viral when he's pulling and he's like grunting and like moaning. That's what he does every play. And I kind of got a little PTSD from that. So.
Pretty cool.
Tommy, nice job. By the way, if you can't tell, he teaches like communications and stuff like that. Is there any doubt? He handles himself really well. But seriously, congratulations on the 2-0 start. More importantly, congratulations on seemingly putting a program together, getting the kids to buy in, the families to buy in, which is so important. And good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks for having us. The kids really deserve this. Thank you.
All right, hang on. We're going to take a break. And we're going to bring up the stars of the show, the Red Rifle and Jay Love, right after this break. You are watching the Varsity Link Coach's Corner on the Shore Sports Network.
Back at the Office Restaurant and Lounge in Toms River, the Week 3 edition of the Varsity Link Coaches Corner. We're featuring the Manchester Hawks. Great conversation with first-year head coach Tommy Farrell. Of course, that program, really feels like it's in great hands. Excited what he can do going forward over these next several years. Again, brought to you by Varsity Link. So make sure you get to the Google Play Store or the App Store, download the Varsity Link app. You heard Kevin explain it before. It's the athlete's social media tool. And Jay Wamball from Varsity Link and Asylum last week, really said it well. It's like Instagram meets LinkedIn. It's professional, but also you have your statistics, your highlights. It's a great resource for athletes, and not just the football, of all sports. To get all their information out there, it's a central place for college coaches to look. Really helps in recruiting, so make sure you check those guys out, varsitylink.com, and also make sure you download the app wherever your apps are downloaded. With that, we welcome in two of the Hawks' finest. To my left, senior running back and linebacker Josh Love. To my right, sophomore quarterback Aiden Lund. Guys, first of all, thanks for coming down, bringing a great crowd with you. We talked to Coach. You guys are 2-0. Certainly that's where you want to be. I know you're not satisfied with that, but starting 2-0 is a great thing. So, Josh, I'll start with you. As a senior, you have a new coach. You're coming in. Obviously, you're trying to have success early. You guys have won your first 2 games. So what does that do just for the excitement level and keeping everyone focused when you can start off winning like this?
All right. I'm actually a junior.
All right. There you go. Junior.
Yeah. I'm a junior, and it's pretty exciting. Got a new coach and everything. The team came together and coming together really well. All my teammates, my whole coaching staff. And I want to give an early shout-out to Coach Missouri. That's my running back coach.
Yep.
Without him, I wouldn't have nothing. So
Great guy.
yeah.
Threw me off. 3-year starter. I'm like, 3-year starter. He's got to be a senior. That's right. Started as a freshman. You have a new coach, so obviously a lot of changes to the program. He has his own style. You have some new assistant coaches. What was your first impression of Coach Farrell when he met with the team that day?
It was awesome. Right when he came in, we all knew he was a great guy and he knew what he was doing.
How does that ease a team? Because there's uncertainty. You know the previous coaches. Now you don't know the new guy coming in. What were some of the things that he did or said, or just the way he presented himself, where you guys felt pretty good coming in and really started to buy into what he wanted this program to be? Because you can tell you guys have the way you've started these first 2 weeks.
Because the first time he came in, he always taught us how we're all one big family, and every time he sees us, he always tells us how he loves us.
It's good. And Josh, same thing. Coach Farrell, what was your guys' impression of him when he came in, and just kind of, those first couple days, first couple weeks, whatever, just getting adjusted to him and kind of his expectations for the program? Just tell me about that, especially from the guys that have been there a few years.
It was pretty cool because he's our age, so the bond was come quicker than someone older than us. Mm-hmm. And he always treated us as we were family the first day we met him, and then it just got stronger and stronger as we kept going.
By the way, before we even ask some questions, you are both automatically first-team all-hair team.
That's true.
Both of you.
That's true.
Without a doubt. I mean, you guys are sporting the dues, without a doubt. Okay, Aiden, first thing. Coach said he took you to lunch. First of all, where'd you go to lunch?
Charlie's.
Okay. And how did he break the news to you?
So, for the first 20 minutes, we were just talking about, all sports and stuff. And then we were, talking about, NFL and stuff. And he was like, okay, now we're getting to the business. And then he just, explained it. And then he just told me I was the quarterback.
Wow. And the other 2 guys? Tough to hear that news, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're playing other positions,
Yeah,
right?
the other one's starting safety. Another one plays running back with Josh.
Okay, my final question for Aiden. First play, a 75-yard pass. What did you say in the huddle to deserve that?
I was just so nervous. I was I didn't want to overthrow him. I didn't want to underthrow him. I just wanted to be in the perfect spot.
I'm sure you had practiced that all week, right?
Yeah.
Did you know you guys were starting with that play?
Yeah, they told me the night before.
Is that more nerve-wracking because we're going to come out this play? What was it like that, knowing what you guys were going to run first play?
Yeah, on the way to the game, I was saying, imagine we throw a touchdown the first play of the game, and that's what happened.
That's pretty special. What's it like after that? I mean, you throw a touchdown pass for 70-plus yards, your first high school throw. What's that emotion like immediately after celebrating?
It makes me really excited, but then after that, you got to get ready for the next drive.
43 points.
Question for you, though. Do you ever take any of your players out for lunch? No way.
Yes. No, I had them at my house, and my wife went crazy. I said.
So was that the first and the last time?
Make these guys some baked ziti, I said.
Was that the first and the last time?
No, I did it fairly every week. Josh, 50 carries in the first 2 weeks. That's a lot of carries. You're not a huge running back, okay? What are you weighing in at?
150.
150, okay.
It's plenty good if they can't touch you.
4 touchdowns, okay. What's your favorite play?
Without getting too specific. Ed's trying to give the playbook away over here.
Nah. What do you run?
I say.
You got another partner in the backfield?
See, Tommy, you should have brought the flake cards and held them up.
Dante. That's my partner in the backfield.
Who's that?
That's my fullback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mention him. Mention his name.
Dante Mortalite. That's my fullback.
There we
He
go.
leads the way.
Leading the way.
Another guy on the all-hair team. Another guy.
The Hawks have it going for sure.
Yeah, they sure do. But, great start for you guys. And as we said, you open up with that pass play. That's got to get you going. You're at Lakewood. You throw 43 points up on them on opening day. That's a pretty nice effort with a first-year head coach and a new team that was only together. Which you have 1 scrimmage, 2 scrimmages?
2.
2 scrimmages. I mean,
3 if you want to.
And it was quick. A couple 7-on-7s maybe in the summer, right? But Aiden, it's you're thrown into that first game, right? And you throw that first pass, and it's all gravy from there, right?
Yes.
I mean, 43 points. A lot of points for an opener.
Yeah. Most of it's from Josh.
Yeah. That's okay.
So that's a good quarterback right there.
He had 3. He had 3 that day, He had 3 that day.
With opening 1-0, we'll start there, 1-0. It's because I know, again, with the coach speak, you want to go 1-0 every week. I'm sure that phrase has been said multiple times. But it's true, though. That's why it's said so often. But just, again, new coach, new system maybe, just a lot of newness going on. What did that do for the whole team's confidence to come out and get that week 1 win?
It's just boosted us, making us a better team in general.
How do you feel like that translated into week 2? Because you went and turned around and beat a Tom's Reese team that was coming off a last-second loss the week before. A physical team, good amount of upperclassmen. So how do you think what happened in week 1 translated to week 2? I know you're kind of taught to forget that, but you do want to take that positive momentum. So how do you think that was a factor?
It boosted us confidence and let us know, we can do this.
And then how about last week? Is that more of that reaffirmation? Okay, coach knows what he's talking about here. Good stuff.
Okay, now I got to ask my good question.
Ed has the hard-hitting questions.
I got the hard-hitting
every
questions.
episode.
Josh and Aiden, both of you. You have pasta parties before games? You do?
Yeah.
Okay, usually Thursday nights and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in line, right? You got a lot of trays of macaroni and stuff. Who eats the most? Not between you two, but everybody. Don't say Gavin. Make him feel good. Now, you could say him if it's him. Go on. Who eats the most?
Ed always says, what do you always say? You said, who's the guy you don't want to be behind?
Yeah, who's the guy you don't want to be behind because you're not getting nothing to eat?
Yeah, I'll give it to Gavin.
Yeah.
Look, you got to call a spade. If it's Gavin, it's Gavin. We had, what did we have? We had Mr. Farrell Sr. preached us. Brick last year, Darian Newcomb. Lenny said he ate 59 wings or something at a contest. It's pretty good. And what did they say last week as an album, guys? Eating he ate 19 ice cream sundaes. Anyone with any feats of eating at these things? We need the we need the hard hitting news here.
Okay, Josh. Any fumbles this year?
Fumbles?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No fumbles. Okay, good. I can't ask that question. But let's say you run the wrong hole or you don't do something right in a play.
Yeah.
Who's the guy on the sidelines you don't want to see when you run over?
Coach Brown.
Coach Brown.
I knew it.
Aiden, what about you?
Coach O'Donnell.
Coach, there you go.
Look, all these make sense, these answers. Again, we gave you fair warning before, but you got to tell us about the guys up front, the offensive linemen, because on every team, they're the unsung heroes, whether it's pass protection and time to throw the ball, or creating lanes in the running game. And that's not just the lineman, too. That goes for the fullback. We can't forget the fullback in this. Tell us about those guys up front and who they are and how well they've played so far.
They're all amazing. From left tackle, you got Cooper and Spencer. Left guard, you got Nakai. Center, you got Spencer. Right guard, you got Gavin. And then right tackle, you got Tudo.
And fullback?
And fullback, Dante Morley.
I can't forget the fullback.
Yeah, the center is Calvin.
Yeah.
There we go. See, between two guys, we'll get all the alignment. That's part of being a lineman. You don't always get remembered, but look, you got to do what you have to do there. We heard Coach alluded to before. You play any other sports?
Yeah, I played basketball and volleyball.
Too, and volleyball too. So three-sport athlete. Are these all three sports you've always played growing up, or new to any of them?
My freshman year was my first year playing volleyball. But ever since I was like 5 or 6, I played basketball.
What made you go for volleyball?
Honestly, probably my brother, because he played it his senior year, and it was just so fun to watch. So I just wanted to try it.
Do you find playing multiple sports helps you in each one?
Yeah, it keeps me physically active throughout the whole year.
How about you, Josh? Play anything else other than football?
Basketball
Too. So you guys are teammates in two sports, huh?
Yeah.
Again, same thing. You've been playing basketball your whole life growing up?
Yes.
Were you always planning on playing two in high school? We see that's not always the case. We advocate for multi-sport athletes here, but that's not the case for everyone. For you, was there ever a question you were going to play both in high school?
No, I always knew I was going to play basketball and football.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you got a big one this week, as it is every week, but as Coach said, a division game, a dangerous Mattawan team. Just in your preparation, what have you seen from Mattawan that are things you have to be concerned with, things you have to be prepared for that they're going to come out with this Friday?
They're a pretty talented team. They got a good quarterback. But I think my team is strong enough to go to battle and come out with the win.
That's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
Confidence going in. And yourself, too, from a quarterback perspective. And this isn't really just for this week, but how do you view your job? Is it go out and make big plays? Is it manage the offense? Is little of both? Like, how do you view your job each week running this offense?
Honestly, just like always hand the ball off to Josh, and whenever we drop back to pass, make good passes.
Just about making good decisions, good reads?
Yeah.
Don't turn the ball over, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about the kids in school now? Is there a lot of buzz?
Yeah.
2-0, first home game coming up. Probably a pep rally, right, on Thursday or Friday. I mean, what's the buzz going on in school?
Yeah, just everyone's always talking to us about us being 2-0 for the first time.
Okay, how about the kids at the game? Do you have like a nickname for the pit or for, those guys? You know what I mean? You don't even know.
What are the Manchester fans call? Not every team has it.
Maybe the Hawks Nest.
The
Yeah,
Hawks
the Hawks
Nest.
Nest.
Man, that makes sense.
And last one for you guys, and relaying off that. The first game was September 3rd, so it's before Labor Day. You're not in school yet. Could you sense a difference? Like you get into school, you guys already have a win under your belt, and the excitement starts to grow a little bit? Because that first week, it just felt a little odd, even covering games. Like there wasn't a lot of students at some of the games. Did you feel a change just in the atmosphere? Once school started and kind of everyone was, hey, the football team's got to win. Did you realize that?
Yeah, because there's always a couple kids that go around and tells everybody to go to the game.
There you go. You need those guys.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Same
So,
thing.
Is this your mom filming us?
Yeah.
Okay. How many times is she going to make you watch it at home tonight?
A lot. Mom said a lot. Look, Mom films it. You watch. You do what Mom says.
Mom, he was very good. I'm telling you, both of these guys are outstanding. And, hey, keep it rolling. That's all I could say. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, Josh, Aiden, great to talk to you guys. Congratulations on the 2-0 start. I know you're not satisfied, but it's better to be 2-0 than 0-2 or 1-1, certainly. So thank you guys for coming on and chatting with us today, and we wish you best luck the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
That's Aiden Lunn and Josh Love of the 2-0 Manchester Hawks. We thank them for coming on. We're going to take a quick break. We'll bring Kevin back, and we'll talk a little bit about what's ahead in Week 3. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network.
And welcome back. The A-team is back. The boys let me rejoin them for the home stretch here. We're in the fourth quarter of the Varsity Link Coach's Corner. Want to say a special shout-out to our friend Scotty Goodall.
Yes.
Stop by. The head wrestling coach at Rutgers University. He's done an amazing job, and he did a better job tonight because he brought us T-shirts.
He did, and always a proud supporter of Shore Conference athletics in general, Shore Conference football. Certainly a lot of people know, most people don't know, I would think, that they understand he was the offensive coordinator at Jackson Memorial, those juggernaut Jackson teams, 2000, 2001. I mean, he knows Shore Conference football.
He's a good football guy, and he's a good friend, as you said, of the Shore Conference. And it was nice. I know he spoke to the Manchester team during the summer, and it was nice of him to stop by. Always good to see Scotty. So, fellas, by the way, Ed, you asked the guy if he fumbled.
No. My follow-up was going to be who was the guy on the sideline that you don't want to see.
Okay,
that was the thing.
All right.
I had to get him some negative, so when he went to the sideline, the guy's in his face.
Coach Jinx.
Yeah. I was waiting for Bob to say to Aiden, so how many interceptions do you think you'll throw Friday night? But kids did a great job.
Somebody's got to steer the train.
Kids did a great job.
They did.
Listen,
for both young, young kids.
But
it's intimidating talking to Ed with his hard-hitting questions.
By the way, Josh Love is tiny.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's not small. He's tiny. And you talked about the carries he's had in the first couple of weeks.
50.
No, not 50. Is it 50?
Combined in 2 weeks.
Oh, in 2
Not
weeks,
in
2 weeks.
Yeah,
50.
He's
it's a Kason Anderson territory.
Well, when Tommy said, he's like Derrick Henry, and I wanted to say, I would rather have Josh Love than Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry's on my fantasy team. He did nothing last weekend. So anyway, but we really appreciate it. We're great having the guys on it and Coach Farrell as well. Week 3 of the season coming up. We talked about, obviously, Red Bank Catholic and Middletown South is a big game if you want to talk the absolute upper echelon of games. But what else we have this weekend? What stands out for you?
Well, we got the big one in the American division.
Yep.
And that is Red Bank Catholic, number 1 in the Shore Sports Network Jeeps to our top 10. Heading over to the Swamp to take on third-ranked Middletown South. Even if you did not know the rankings of these teams, it's RBC, it's Middletown South.
Yeah.
It's 2 teams that are always among the best in the Shore. They're both undefeated. RBC 3-0, really hasn't been tested yet. Middletown South, 2 weeks where they have to come from behind in the second half, win some dramatic games. Can't really plan on doing that same style against Red Bank Catholic, but, 2 excellent defensive teams. I would not be surprised if this is relatively low scoring. Not really low scoring, but a game where points are hard to come by. RBC is immensely talented on offense, so there's certainly a chance that those guys can break out. Sabina Portela, Torrin Harmon in the backfield, Najai Rahman at wide receiver who's going to Brown, Emmanuel Ross who's got a scholarship from Clemson, not to mention their sophomore quarterback. But that Middletown South defense led by Colin Gallagher, who has been unreal in his first 2 games. That's a great unit. So that's going to be an awesome one. And that's the one that stands out really right away because it's 2 not just top 5 teams, top 3 teams. And the other one in the American Division, which will happen right down the road, will be number 6 Manalapan facing number 5 Donovan Catholic. So huge divisional games. And like we said, that American Division, every team is ranked but Wall. And if I had to put some money on it, Wall being ranked at the end of the year, I feel there's probably a decent chance of that. So a loaded division.
Couple of teams that really need a win. Lacey at 0-2.
Yeah.
Faces a Middletown North team. I believe they're 1-1, Bob, right?
1-1, yes.
1-1,
Lost to Manalapan and the
So,
winner was
Lacey, another team that usually is not used to losing too much. Mm-hmm. And then you got who's my other
Rumson.
Rumson is 0-2, but they've got a little tougher battle,
Yeah, hosting Wall on Friday night.
I was going to say Homedale.
Yes.
Right, Homedale faces a tough Point Borough team, so that could be 0-3 for both of those teams.
And Homedale, I don't want to say if it's chalk and Homedale loses that game, that's the best 0-3 team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
28-14 lost to Ocean, lost by a touchdown to St. John Vianney.
Yeah,
I will tell you what, and we've had Jeff Reynes on this program before, the Homedale head coach. With how that program is now structured, they will be competitive every year. their record might be like 3-6, I think it was one year. But you looked at it, and every game outside of maybe going against an opponent where they were clearly overmatched, they've been competitive. Another game that stands out is the Brick Memorial Ocean matchup.
You beat me to it.
2-0 Ocean, 1-1 Brick Memorial. Brick Memorial's only losses out of division to number 8 Jackson. That's a big one. You have 2 excellent quarterbacks in Ocean's Tyler Douglas, Temple commit, Brick Memorial's Connor Dietz, and 2 great dual threat quarterbacks too. So that can be a fun one going back and forth at Corelli Stadium.
Yeah, that's a huge game of the Freedom Division. And you mentioned Ocean is off to a 2-0 start. Donnie Klein has been there, quite a while, and he would certainly like to get the Big Red off to a 3-0 start. But I agree with you. I mean, I'd go with the over in that game. You know what I mean? I think there could be a lot of points in that game.
Both been putting up points. A couple of ones to look at Independence Division. We talked about Point Bar Homedale. Monmouth at St. John Vianney is a sneaky good game. And I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing it, but it's not a top 10 matchup like we've been talking about. Both teams have a loss, so we're not talking about undefeated. But Monmouth, they've shown last year they had a winning record, and through 2 weeks you could see they're a good team. Had a 7-point loss, I believe, or 8-point loss to Raritan. And St. John Vianney, they had the loss to RBC, but they've come back with wins over Colts Neck and Homedale. So that's a kind of a separation game there in that division.
I don't believe the Monmouth quarterback played last week, right?
He did not, no.
He did not play. That's a big loss for Monmouth.
Anthony Jen, who's their quarterback, certainly going to need him there.
Yeah.
But at tailback, they have one of the best, in the Shore. So
you want to think it's early in the season, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Some teams will have played 4 games by the end of this weekend if they played week 0, which is insane.
I thought about writing that in the top 10. It's like, hey, there's going to be a couple teams that have played half the regular season.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even bring myself to write it because it was freaking me out a little bit.
We want to think like we're just, it's just the beginning of the season. And it is in a way, but it's not in a way. And, let's say most teams will have played 3 games by the end of this weekend. If you're 0-3, it is really tough to, corral the horses and get those kids to, practice gets a little harder and all that stuff. So it is a big weekend for a lot of teams in the Shore Conference.
It certainly is. 2 other games real quick I want to mention because I know we're up against it. Raritan at Manasquan. Raritan 2-0. They'll go to Vicaboo Warrior Field on Saturday, which is always a tough place to play. And Manasquan, they're going to be hungry, want to regroup after that showing against Point Borough. They only scored 13 points. Again, it was a tough game. Point Borough's a really good team. And that's a good divisional game, and that's traditionally been a very entertaining game when those 2 teams have played. And then also on Saturday, Tommy mentioned it before we're on, Shore Regional head coach Mark Costino going for win number 200. They'll be at Keensburg Saturday afternoon. So Kaz going for a milestone victory.
Good weekend.
Yeah.
Good games as always.
It's only getting better. And as we get a little bit more information, games that you looked at the beginning of the season, that might be a big game. All of a sudden, well, that is a big game.
Yeah.
So those are always fun, especially we have a lot of divisions that are extremely competitive, and it might come down to the final week.
Yep.
Looks like we're going to avoid the bad weather again. It looks like a nice weekend Friday and Saturday.
Looks beautiful,
teams look forward to that.
Yep. So a couple of wrap-up things here. First of all, we always thank Nick Pagano and the Office Lounge. They do an amazing job here, and we appreciate their hospitality. We'll be here during the course of the football season. Mentioned next week we'll be at MJ's Restaurant, Sports Bar and Grill on Route 66 in Neptune. We don't know who our guests are until after the weekend, so I can't tell you who we might have on. But we'll feature somebody, and we'll have fun with them, and Ed will ask them if they fumbled or thrown an interception. You can count on that.
How much do you eat?
How much do you eat?
Which coach yells the most? But this is why people tune in.
He missed his one question. Who's the guy that makes you laugh?
Yeah.
He didn't ask that question, but he'll ask it next week. I promise. Of course, Varsity Link, our sponsor. Check out them. Download the app if you're a high school athlete, regardless of the sport, varsitylink.com. And, of course, follow the Shore Sports Network all weekend long for updates on high school football games. And, of course, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday, we'll have our picks of the week, the Elite PT picks of the week. Yours truly was 18-3 last weekend, so that was it was good. Yeah.
Talk to me at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know. I never win, so I
made a little comeback this week.
Yeah, you made a little comeback. Like the Mets who are down 6-0 might score
Ed
a
either
run.
goes 20-1 or like 10-10. There's no in between. Ed either gets them all right or
The Mets are down 6-0 tonight?
Yeah, in the first inning. They were
Oh,
down
my
6-0.
God.
Hate to see
The
it.
wheels are coming off my team. Thanks to Tom Tremblay, of course, who does an incredible job each week getting us on and taking care of everything. Steve Meyer, who's MacGyver, as we said, who moved tables around here. That the wait staff had no say in it. And that's it. We've had a lot of fun. We thank Manchester for coming out and showing their support for their program. Wish them luck Friday night against Matawan. And for Bob Batters and Ed Sarluca, I'm Kevin Williams. Have a great football weekend. You have been watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner, only on the Shore Sports Network.